Wow, where do I begin? What's up guys, that guy Danny here, and welcome back to another video on the channel. Now, today's video was a pretty challenging one to make, and it's not just because the topic of racism could get very sensitive, but I feel like it was also challenging because I have never been the person to be, you know, vocally expressing anything. I much consider myself a introverted person, and because of those reasons, a lot of you guys might think that I'm just trying to clout chase, just trying to chase the latest trends, get those views, get those likes. But that's not the case. Think what you want, but with all this craziness happening, especially with the George Floyd situation and police brutality and also systemic racism, I think it's time that we spoke up. I think it's time that I speak up on this. I'm kind of late to the party, but I hope that with the thoughts and experiences that I share in this video, I hope that I can open people's eyes about racism and show them that these things do happen and that it's real. And just because you haven't been affected by it doesn't mean that it doesn't exist. Now, I've always been a person that tries to see the positive side in everything, And with the whole situation regarding the police and George Floyd, it's kind of hard to think that there is any positive thing coming out of this. So I initially stayed away from all these videos of the incident happening, the whole almost 9 minutes of that footage caught. But for the purpose of this video, I chose to watch it because it really sets the stage for the conversation. When you see a police officer, you think of someone who is just, and tries to protect its citizens. So for this cop to kill another person, I sometimes wonder what could possibly be in that person's mind right now while doing that act. And as he makes George asphyxiate with the weight of the police officer's knee on his neck as he says his last words and passes away, it's definitely a very brutal way to kill somebody. And what really adds to all of this complexity, like throwing oil on an open fire, is that he had colleagues, 3 of them, near him, and none of them did anything. Basically condoning his actions and making him do as he pleases. And it really says a lot about the world we live in right now. After watching this video, I don't think anybody could see the world in the same light again, And the thing is, I'm not surprised because this has happened countless times before and it's still happening. The situation with George Floyd has become everyone's last straw, and we can see that manifesting in the countless protests that have been going around all over the US, in all 50 states, and it has actually moved the people of the entire world. So now there have been protests happening in all over the world. And I know I'm kind of late to this whole speaking out on this situation, but better late than never. And I feel like what happened to George Floyd and countless other, innocent black lives before him and after him has really made me want to speak out on this issue. When I think of Black Lives Matter, I think of injustice, I think of inequality that faces the black community for the longest of times. And it's crazy, to think that there's actually people in this world that are against racism. Like, what's there to be against, Are you okay with the relentless killing of black lives? There's no reason why you should be against racism. I thought I'd kind of share a little story. I am no stranger to racism, right? A lot of you guys who see me right now might assume I probably come from an Asian country, right? That's a bold assumption that may or may not be right, but most of the time, your assumptions are wrong. And that's something that we have to stop doing so much as a people. Assumptions are just that, assumptions. So I was born in Belize, right? It's basically a Central American and Caribbean country, along with my other 2 siblings. I was born to 2 Taiwanese parents who migrated to Belize from Taiwan over 20 years ago. And I never really asked them like why they came, but when I did, they would always tell me that they came because they wanted to spread the good values of Taoism to the people of Belize. And as crazy as that may sound, the important thing is that they took a risk, right? Coming to a foreign country with a foreign language and a foreign way of life. They had to learn English. And at that age, learning English, giving birth to 3 kids, and surviving up to this day, that isn't an easy feat. So where I live, Belize has a mixture of all types of ethnicities and cultures. Basically have a predominance of Hispanic and Black people. So both my parents had to learn from the get-go that in order to survive, they would have to put away their differences, any possible prejudices and stereotypes between themselves and the people of Belize, and pretty much learn to interact with them and nurture lasting friendships with everybody they met, regardless of their skin color. They are resilient and strong-minded, and I'm very lucky to have 2 loving parents who from a very young age has taught me to respect everyone I met with open arms and not to be racist against people based on the color of their skin or where they're from or what job that they have. They're living in Belize for almost 20 years, and the upbringing that they have bestowed upon me has made me the person I am today. And I'm grateful for that. I cherish that a lot. Personally though, as a Asian person in a foreign land, growing up wasn't an easy thing to do. There were a mixture of communities and different types of people, and at the time there weren't that many Asian people. So some of the times I might be the only Asian person in the whole entire school, kind of like I am now. And that has subjected me to much racism over the span of my life. And it'll never be to the extent to which the Black communities face right now. It's racism nonetheless, and it has no place in this world. Racism exists everywhere, right? It doesn't have to be full-blown racism and all its direct badness, right? Racism can come indirectly, and when it does, it's so subtle, but if you pick it up, it can affect you. It doesn't only have to be words, it can be through actions, it could be through thoughts, as innocent as those may be. So initially, I never quite fit in. I always felt like I was an outsider. And to cope with that, I did many things. I needed to learn, I needed to adapt, and I needed to try and fit in, like all of us try to do when we're in a new environment. So like for instance, during my primary school days, there was no shortage of stereotypes and casual slurs against me. While this mostly happened when I was a kid and I was still growing up, it happens a lot less now. I wouldn't say a lot less, but probably a lot more subtler now. Sometimes there would be microaggressions from strangers, so they would come and mess around with me as I walk the streets, trying to say ni hao, and trying to mimic the Mandarin language and assume that I understood what they were trying to say. Like, I would like to think that their kind of mockery is coming from a place of curiosity. I'd like to think that. When I was smaller, I'd get called names. I would get treated differently when I would walk outside my house and, go shopping or something. And I kind of still do, There's this stereotype that all Asians must be, overflowing with cash and rich. And as a result, things reflect that, I sometimes get swindled. I sometimes pay more than I need to just because I look Asian, I look like a tourist. And there's those usual assumptions that I am probably good at math. I hate math, by the way. I must know karate. I don't know karate. I should probably learn, for the benefits that it has on my mental health. But don't assume that I know it. To me, there was always a struggle of trying to be too white or too Asian, Sometimes I even go as far as to say that I, at one point in my life, was ashamed of my skin, and my appearance for the most part of my younger days. I often wished I could look more like the people around me, I could look more Hispanic, more Black. I was like, maybe I envied of trying to be someone else because I didn't feel comfortable in my own skin. And I remember, feeling a little embarrassed whenever my parents would come pick me up after school, and I would, you know, act really awkward and different around them and around others whenever they would be around. But as I grew older, though, most of that has changed. I've become a lot more comfortable with myself. So one of the things that I've been very grateful for, especially when growing up, was meeting some of my very first friends. Some of the first friends that I've made were people from the black community. We all lived in the same street, and we would do a lot of things together, play around, video games. We had a lot of fun. We had a lot of idle times. We even played some sports together. Baseball was a thing, and they even taught me kind of how to play basketball, even though I suck. While most of them have left already, the memories and the experiences that we had together still has a very special place in my heart and in my memories. Shout out to Khalil, Inar, Kareem, Stefan, and many other people who have been a part of my life while growing up. It's been a while since we saw each other in person. The only thing I regret doing is not taking more photos back then. Trying to recollect these memories now and not having any photos to, look back upon. It's kind of sad. If you're watching this and you're less than 10 years old, take more pictures. It's a good thing. Now, having black friends doesn't mean that you are not racist. That's just not how the way it works. But if the black friends in your life and the collective experience and moments that you shared with them make you a more humble and understanding person, right? You understand the way they're feeling, what they're experiencing. You basically connect with them. Then that is the most important part. Sharing life's moments, connecting with one another, and embracing each other. It has made me who I am today, and I'm happy for those amazing life moments. The opportunity to grow up in Belize has allowed me to meet countless black figures that, that still inspire me to chase my dreams. I'm really happy to have been able to meet them. I'm proud to be Taiwanese because of the sacrifices that my parents made for me. I'm lucky for the upbringing that my parents were able to bestow on me. And I'm also grateful to have been born in Belize. All of these factors have not only taught me to adapt to new experiences and new people, it has also taught me that diversity is very important and that racism has no place in this world. People should not be wrongfully judged due to the color of their skin. Racism is like poisonous snake, mold on bread. And I think the most beautiful part of being human is that we're all different and we all have our own unique story to tell. Okay, whew. That's a lot of feels bundled into one video, but I just want to conclude, by saying words without actions makes no change. So I hope that after you watch this video, you go forth and spread awareness. Do whatever you can, even if it's just posting on social media. But if you have the means to, and I know not a lot of people have the means to do a lot of things right now in these crazy times. COVID, this pandemic has hit us hard, A lot of people's mental health and financial health are all over the place. So I understand if you're not able to help, but if you can and have the means, try to do something tangible to show your support for the black community. I'm a humble and hungry medical student in Cuba, with not much really to offer. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just going to link a couple of organizations and other places down in the description box, so you can give them a little support, whether monetary or otherwise. And if you know of any local initiative in your area, comment it down below too, so I can add it to the growing list that I have. I would like to end this video by saying that as an Asian person, I'll never fully be able to relate to the suffering felt by the black community. I could never really fit in their shoes and feel exactly how or what they feel. But what I can do is stand alongside them in this collective effort to end racial injustice. And maybe, just maybe, our future generation won't have to go through this pain that we are facing right now. They say an ounce of prevention is worth more than a pound of cure. And that's true in this situation too, and not just to medicine. Yes, all lives matter, but Black lives matter more right now. Because right now, they are not getting the right representation or rights as everybody else does. They're not trying to lessen the importance of other communities, but they're just simply trying to raise awareness to the fact that they are being racially targeted for just having a skin color, something which they have no control over. So listen more, listen to them. Because the most dangerous thing that you can do right now is to insulate and distance yourself because you're afraid of what people might think, or that you believe you don't have a place in this conversation of race, because you do. My name is Daniel Hung, and I support the Black Lives Matter movement. What about you?